What up, y'all? This is your boy, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo, and you're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio for Friday, May 22nd, 2015, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook or on Twitter, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo, that's RAYMELO, or on Twitter at The Enter Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. NBC's Red Nose Day, the charitable broadcast, came to a close at about 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night at New York City's Hammerstein Ballroom, where hundreds of jokes were told, thousands of tears were shed, and millions of dollars were raised. The event, which has been running annually in the United Kingdom, was emceed by a trio of Seth Meyers, David Duchovny, and Jane Krakowski. Red Nose Day is a campaign dedicated to raising money for children and young people living in poverty by simply having fun and making people laugh. The event marked the first time that the fundraiser took place stateswide. The star-studded event included musical performances by Ed Sheeran and Kermit the Frog, U2, Keith Urban with John Mellencamp, Will Ferrell, Nick Offerman, Stephen Merchant, Gwyneth Paltrow, Anna Kendrick, John Krasinski, Olivia Wilde, Chris Hemsworth, Bill Eichner, Martin Short, Jimmy Fallon, Julia Roberts, and Eddie Redmayne were among the many actors to offer their support. There was so much happening at the Hammerstein, in fact, that even if you watched the complete 3 hours on TV, you couldn't have possibly seen everything. Red Cloud Noses, for which the charity got its name, was apparently and ironically in short supply on Thursday at Hammerstein. They were so scarce that, in fact, we heard someone offered $50 for one. Now that's charitable. The show was so lengthy that it needed 3 different warm-up comics to keep the audience enthused during the commercial breaks. The best of the night worked Seth Meyers' hour, Familiar Territories. The stand-up comic in question also handled audience warm-up for the SNL alums' late night show. The well-dressed comic and Myers shared high fives each time they crossed paths. At one point, the boss quipped to the ballroom crowd, "Now that I know he has a suit, I kind of wonder why he doesn't wear it to the work I pay him for." Speaking of Myers, the NBC personality hosted the first 60 minutes of the show, eventually passing duties off to David Duchovny. In turn, the X-Files star was relieved later by 30 Rock star Jane Krakowski. Myers was light years better than his stage successors. His jokes were sharper, banter better, and the former SNL head writer proved extraordinarily more competent than his co-hosts, who were nervous at best and dull at worst. Microphone problems seemed to plague the show all night. They were often late to turn hot in the theater and suffered similar issues when the host threw the show to Times Square, where Hoda Kotb, Andy Cohen, and Gilbert Gottfried were holding court and drinks. The mics and amps sure as hell worked when Keith Urban shared the stage with John Mellencamp to perform the latter's songs, Pink Houses, though. We didn't think we were being old grumps here, but it was loud, like way too loud, as if someone clearly didn't show up for sound check levels. Still, the crowd at 34th Street and 9th Avenue venue seemed to dig the ditty, or at least it woke them up. One of the gags early in the night featured heartthrob Keelan Lutz, supposedly naked sans 3 socks on a pedestal behind a wall that would rise with each $1,000 donated, but that's merely the magic of TV. Lutz was shirtless but wearing shorts. To be fair to the gag, Lutz was indeed wearing socks, but just 2 and on his feet. We all know that Rose News Day was to run live from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What nobody apparently told the audience, however, was exactly how long those 3 hours would feel on a work night. As a result, probably almost half of the Hammerstein audience didn't stick out until the very end. Today's show host, Matt Lauer, rode his bicycle from Boston to New York City, his own personal tour de Red Nose, as he called it. The Hammerstein crowd really appreciated the impressive undertaking, as Lauer got one of the biggest ovations of the evening for his efforts. Saturday Night Live's Colin Jost, Michael Chen, and Jay Farrell all took part in the festivities. Weekend Update anchors Jost and Chet came out together to tell a few jokes and introduce a few folks. After the two did their best teleprompter reading and the broadcast cut to commercial, Chet became lost, literally. The former Daily Show staffer didn't know if it was cool to leave the stage, saying into the microphone, "There should be a guy who tells us to leave, right?" There was, and they left, with Josh gracefully thanking the crowd for their time. Of course, all the comedy was for a cause, raising millions of dollars for children's charities in the United States and abroad. To drive home the dire point about how poverty affects the young ones, The NBC rolled up several pre-taped clips of stars such as Blake Shelton, Michelle Rodriguez, and Jack Black interacting with kids and families in need. As one might expect, these shorts were heartbreaking. Two of the biggest tearjerkers videos were Black in Uganda, spending a day with a homeless boy named Felix, and the story of a young girl named Rachel who sacrificed birthday presents in lieu of donating money to provide clear well water overseas. Tragically, Rachel died in a car accident 1 month after starring her fundraiser. David Letterman signed off on Wednesday night, putting finishing touches on a 33-year career in late night, the last 22 of which he spent at CBS. Capping off several weeks of rating spikes and 2 nights of 5-year highs, the telecast was obviously up. The star-filled Goodbye averaged nearly 13.8 million viewers, with the show hitting its highest score since The Late Show's first season in 1994. The Late Show drew a bigger crowd last night than any broadcast series did in primetime, the closest being the Survival finale, 9.4 million viewers. Compared to another notable late-night exit, Jay Leno's 2014 Goodbye, Letterman came in shy but a fewer than 1 million viewers. The 3.1 rating with adults 18 to 49 was a 10-year high for Letterman, who hasn't brought in so many young viewers since a 2005 appearance by Oprah Winfrey. One fellow benefiting a great deal from all this is James Corden. The new Late Show host has been hitting series highs during his brief tenure so far, and Wednesday's telecast drew 4 million viewers. That's an all-time record for the show for any host. Joel McHale is set to host the 2015 ESPYs, which will air this year for the first time on ABC. The community star is the season host of Ease the Soup and also emceed last year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. Plus, McHale is an athlete. The comedian was on the University of Washington's football team for more than a year and a half after originally being recruited for the school's rowing program. Connor Shell, Senior Vice President of ESPN Films and Original Content, who oversees the ESPYs, says Joe is an extremely talented performer, a unique voice, and a huge sports fan. His experience as a comedian and love of sports makes Joe the perfect host for the ESPYs' inaugural broadcast on ABC. The ESPYs will be broadcast live on ABC on Wednesday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the Nokia Theater in Los Angeles. The celebration kicks off with SportsCenter at the ESPYs and the ESPYs Countdown Show presented by Capital One, airing from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively, on ESPN prior to the start of the awards. The ESPYs are executive produced by Mant and Maggie Vision Productions. The Best in Sports Awards raise more than $1 million annually for the V Foundation, the charity founded by ESPN and the late basketball coach Jim Valvano to promote cancer research. McHale said, "I'm thrilled to be hosting the ESPYs. After my stunning victory in the Iditarod this year by only using 6 Bichon Frizzies and a lamb, I think the sports world saw me as the logical host." Executive producer Mara Mant added, "I've had the opportunity to work with Joel on previous projects, which included when he presented at the ESPYs, and he's an enthusiastic fan whose talents will bring a new spin to the night's celebration." On Saturday at his closely watched B-Sides concert, which ran exclusively on the hip-hop mogul's music stream service Tidal, Jay-Z responded to critics with a sharply worded freestyle rap. During one verse, he connected Tidal's troubles with the death of Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, and Freddie Gray, unarmed African-American men whose tragic deaths made international headlines. The rap legend said, "You know when I work, I ain't your slave, right? You know I ain't sucking and jiving and high-fiving, and you know this ain't back in the days, right? Well, I can tell how the way they killed Freddie Gray, right? Shot down Mike Brown, how they did Trey, right?" But nationally known scholar Boyce D. Watkins, Ph.D., who frequently speaks out on issues involving social justice, told the rap Jay-Z may have gone too far. Watkins said he's invoking the names of Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin, and Michael Brown, which have become somewhat sacred in the black community, and you're invoking those into this conversation you're having about whether your multi-million-dollar corporation is going to be successful or not. I think that's unfortunately can come off as somewhat disingenuous, because I don't recall Jay-Z ever being really that vocal, that irritated over any issue that did not involve himself. Rap Legend's freestyle also included a verbal shot at Google for apparently trying to buy him out and YouTube for what he perceives as short-changing artists. Jay-Z went on to suggest Tidal will face additional scrutiny because it is black-owned, and he lashed out at African Americans for buying Apple and Nike products but dissing Tidal. Watkins, a scholar in residence in entrepreneurship and innovation at Syracuse University, believes Jay-Z's rap was self-serving and misguided. He said, he's not mad about mass incarceration. He's not mad about wealth inequality. He's not mad about the minimum wage not being high enough. He's mad because millionaire artists are not getting a bigger cut of the money from the music that they make. Whatever his little corporate beef is right now, if that beef were not occurring, would Jay-Z still be pulling out the race card on this issue? Jay-Z bought Tidal in January for a reported $56 million. Since then, it's been besieged by branding problems, bad press, layoffs, and the departure of CEO Andy Chen. The streaming service was originally billed as being created to put control of music back in the hands of artists. It relaunched in March, but some of the richest musicians on the planet, including Madonna, Kanye West, Beyonce, and Rihanna, arguably hurt the brand's image. The streaming service kicked off with two subscription tiers, a basic membership for $9.99 per month and a $19.99 membership for better sound quality. While Tidal has promised exclusive content, some consumers say that's not enough, especially when they can use freemium streaming services like Spotify. On Monday, Beyonce and Nicki Minaj dropped the surprise music video for Feeling Myself exclusively on Jay-Z's service. Within hours of its debut, the footage has been ripped and posted on other websites, reinforcing the question of whether Tidal is worth the cost. Russ Kuppernick, managing partner of streaming industry research firm Music Watch, said, "Are there a million people who would sign up to get that exclusive? Forgetting piracy. If that special album came out in Walmart or iTunes, how many people would buy it?" While Spotify has a free option and Pandora generates free custom radio stations, Tidal is just an app that streams music for a hefty price, Kuppernick explained. Jay-Z did not respond for a request for comment. But as Tidal struggles mount, Watkins believed that they have little to do with the struggle for civil rights despite Jay-Z's protestations. He said, if you're a Jay-Z fan and you want to get behind him on this because he told you to do it, that's fine, but this is far from any kind of meaningful statement on civil rights. Flavor Flav found out that 911 is no joke early Thursday morning, or at least the Nevada Highway Patrol isn't. The former Public Enemy hype man and Flavor of Love star was arrested just after midnight on Thursday and booked on an array of charges, including driving under the influence and a misdemeanor possession for marijuana, a spokesperson for the patrol told the Wrap. According to the spokesman, Flav, whose real name is William Drayton, was pulled over after law enforcement saw his vehicle traveling at a high speed on Interstate 15 near the Las Vegas Strip corridor. After a subsequent investigation, Drayton was arrested and booked on the above charges, plus driving with a suspended registration and suspended license. Drayton was cooperative during the arrest, the spokesman said. The rap icon was booked into the Clark County Detention Center. It is unclear whether he is still in custody. Drayton, who's 56, has been in a similar pickle before. Last year, he was ticketed in New York for speeding and driving without a license while traveling to his mother's funeral. In that incident, police said that Drayton also had a small amount of marijuana in his possession. Josh Duggar has spoken out about reports that he had been accused of child molestation, admitting to act inexcusably as a young teenager. The eldest of star Jim, Bob, and McHale Duggar's children on TLC's 19 Kids and Counting was accused of molesting 5 minors while a teenager and has resigned from his position with the Family Research Council amid reports of the allegations. Duggar told People in a statement on Thursday, 12 years ago, as a young teenager, I acted inexcusably, for which I am extremely sorry and deeply regret. I hurt others, including my family and close friends. I confessed this to my parents, who took several steps to help me address the situation. We spoke with the authorities where I confessed my wrongdoing. My parents arranged for me and those affected by my actions to receive counseling. I understood that if I continued down this wrong road, that I would end up ruining my life. Duggar's parents, Jim, Bob, and McHale, also issued a statement about the accusation against their son, saying he had made, quote, some very bad mistakes that had shocked them. The pair said in a joint statement, back 12 years ago, our family went through one of the most difficult times of our lives. When Josh was a young teenager, he made some very bad mistakes, and we were shocked. We had tried to teach him right from wrong. That dark and difficult time caused us to seek God like never before. According to TMZ, Duggar, who's now 27, was accused of molesting 5 underage girls, including some of his sisters, in 2002 and 2003, allegedly fondling the girls' genitals and breasts. The incidents were reported to the police in 2006, and at that point, the alleged acts fall outside the statute of limitations. In Touch Weekly initially reported on the allegations against Duggar on Tuesday, saying that his father had brought Josh to the Arkansas State Police, saying that he learned his son has engaged in inappropriate behavior after catching him leaving a young girl's bedroom. However, according to In Touch, prosecutors were prevented from completing their investigation due to a, quote, bizarre turn of events. TLC has not yet responded for comment. 19 Kids and Counting, which premiered in 2008, at the time it was 17 Kids and Counting, center around the Arkansas-based Duggar family, which includes parents Jimbo and Michelle Duggar and their 19 children. Josh Duggar and his wife Anna have 3 children, with a 4th child, a daughter, on the way. In a statement, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, where Duggar served as an executive director of the organization's legislative affiliate FRC Action, acknowledged that Duggar has resigned, saying, "We will be praying for everyone involved." Perkins also added today Josh Duggar made the decision to resign his position as a result of previous unknown information becoming public concerning events that occurred during his teenage years. He also added Josh believes that the situation will make it difficult for him to be effective in his current work. We believe that this is the best decision for Josh and his family at this time. We will be praying for everyone involved. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice and Fantastic Four 2 have new competition at the box office. Universal will release Nina Vardalos' family comedy My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 on March 25, 2016, and will go head-to-head with WB's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The release date decision is a strong counter-programming move on Universal's part. Kirk Jones will direct for Gold Circle, HBO, and Playtone. Meanwhile, Paramount has announced that Brad Pitt's World War Z sequel will take on Fox's Fantastic Four sequel on June 9, 2017. Jay Bayona is set to direct World War Z 2, which was written by Stephen Knight. David Ellison's Skydance will produce with Pitt's company Plan B Entertainment. Except the Fantastic Four sequel to eventually move, as it's extremely unlikely that Hollywood would release 2 high-profile sequels that cater to the same audience on the same day. Day 10 of the Cannes Film Festival. Guillermo Nicolo's Valley of Love and its iconic French stars Isabelle Huppert and Gerard Depardieu cozied up for a press conference and screening on Friday in Cannes, the International Film Festival's 10th day of competition. Though Huppert, the Raps Cannes magazine cover star, and Depardieu are quintessential festival darlings, the film itself has disappointing critics and moviegoers doting the Crucilet, but not worried, Mr. Nicolo, they still hate the Sea of Trees more. Besides Sea of Trees, it looks like a veritable masterpiece, but this is a mid-grade sentimental pot boiler that makes increasingly less sense as it becomes even more taken up with spiritual baloney, wrote Daniel Clark of the Irish Times. The film tells the story of 2 fading actors who traveled to California's Death Valley upon instructions from their son, who committed suicide but poses he'll return to greet them in the desolated location. It has a supernatural vibe with some holistic California quirks, according to critics, but ultimately Death Valley turns out to be an irresistible metaphor for the movie's reception. Moved to the back end of the festival this year, AMFAR held its annual fundraising gala at the Hotel Diacapio in Antibes with an embarrassment of stars. Adrian Brody, Marion Cotillard, Michael Fassbender, Tom Ford, Melissa George, Jake Gyllenhaal, Gigi Hadid, Lewis Hamilton, Eva Higuera-Voza, Chanel Iman, Kendall Jenner, Harvey Keitel, Carly Close, Zoe Kravitz, Eva Longoria, Selena Miller, Irina Shayk, Dita Von Thies, Mario Testino, and Danish it girl Alicia Vikander, all dressed to the nine for dinner and an art auction. Raising over $30 million, notable art on the block included a Banksy piece titled Copper on Cardboard from the private collection of Leonardo DiCaprio, which sold for $1 million. DiCaprio also offered up a seat at his table for his eponymous foundation fundraiser in St. Tropez later this year. The surprise package, which also includes a private dinner with Mr. DiCaprio, sold for $280,000. Xavier Dolan is a jury prize-winning wonderkin or Cannes infinite therapy, depending on who you ask, but he's a great interview nonetheless. A 2015 jury member, along with the Coen brothers, Selena Miller and Jake Gyllenhaal, Dolan was confronted by Vanity Fair about a 2014 chat in which he confessed to, quote, stay at home to masturbate in front of a picture of Jake Gyllenhaal. Cohen Media Group will distribute early festival entries Standing Tall in the U.S., the Rap has learned. Broad Green Pictures has acquired U.S. rights to Brad Furman's The Infiltrator, which stars Bryan Cranston as an undercover U.S. customs agent who becomes a pivotal player for drug lords cleaning their dirty cash. BGP announced the deal on Thursday after negotiating the terms at Cannes and said it plans to add the film to its growing 2016 slate. The Infiltrator, which Ellen Brown Furman adapted from the autobiography of Robert Mazur, co-stars Diane Kruger from Inglourious Basterds, John Leguizamo from Chef, Benjamin Bratt from Traffic, Yul Velasquez from Captain Phillips, and Oscar nominee Amy Ryan from Gone Baby Gone. The Infiltrator is produced by Good Films Miriam Siegel with Bank Lumini. Good Films and Lip Sync co-financed the project. Netflix is releasing Bill Murray and Sofia Coppola's holiday special, Very Merry Christmas, the company announced Friday. Coppola directed and co-wrote with Murray and Mitch Glazer. The special will be an homage to the classic variety show featuring Murray playing himself, as he worries no one will show up to his TV show due to a terrible snowstorm in New York City. Coppola previously directed Murray to an Oscar-nominated role in her 2003 film Lost in Translation. The star-studded cast also includes George Clooney, Paul Schaefer, Amy Poehler, Julie White, Dmitry Dimitrov, Michael Cera, Chris Rock, David Johansen, Maya Rudolph, Jason Schwartzman, Jenny Lewis, Phoenix, Frederick Mullen, Rashida Jones, and Miley Cyrus. News of the collaboration landed last fall, and Murray teased the project while appearing on the Ellen DeGeneres show. He said, "Christmas is really about Christmas songs, so I thought I'd sort of do something like that." When talked about the project that had no network involved at the time. That was sort of Sofia's idea, and I started to think about Christmas songs, and I thought you can do something different with it and sort of tell a little bit of a story. A Very Merry Christmas is executive produced by Coppola, Glazer, Roman Coppola, and Tony Hernandez. The special will debut in December in all territories where Netflix is available. And finally, Dwayne The Rock Johnson became an ordained minister in order to officiate the surprise wedding of his longtime fan and Screen Junkies correspondent Nick Monday. Monday thought he would be appearing in a tape segment with Johnson for the San Andreas press junket. Instead, Johnson pulled him into a hotel ballroom filled with family, friends, and his fiancée. The Screen Junkies team gave Monday a suit coat to wear to offset the American flag pants he was wearing, and then the ceremony was underway. Johnson, who leads the cast of the earthquake disaster movie for Warner Bros., said, "Nothing is more powerful than your union," said during the ceremony. He also added, "It carries more force than a bolt of lightning or even the world's largest earthquake, much like the one you'll see in San Andreas when it hits theaters May 29th. And that is your entertainment report for Friday, May 22nd, 2015. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I will be back on Tuesday to deliver some of the major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook or on Twitter, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO, or on Twitter @The Enter Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to that page. I hope everybody has a safe Memorial Day weekend. Good night, and God bless you all. Bye.